Hello and welcome to the Eastern Cape Virtual Classroom. I'm H Jordaan, a CAT subject advisor, and today we're going to look at Lesson 6, Social Implications. It's part 2 of 2 lessons on social implications, and this will be the last lesson for theory in the second term. These are the topics we've looked at so far in the social implications chapter. You can see it's a 2-hour lesson. We're on the second hour today, and we're specifically going to look at things like internet attacks, what are zombies and bots, security issues, avoiding threats, and then other safeguards we can have against criminals and viruses, etc. And the impact on the global community. That's where we begin to end today's lesson. So let's get going. The first part is cyber attacks, protecting yourself against computer crimes. Now, what are cyber attacks? Internet attacks or cyber attacks refer to an attack on the infrastructure of the web itself by the use of malicious code to alter the computer code or logic or data, and it results in a disruptive consequences that can compromise data and lead to cybercrimes, such as information and identity theft. Okay, so this is just to sum up: cyber attacks, attacks on the infrastructure of the web, of the internet, and it's by using malicious code, malicious meaning bad code or code with bad intent, and the results are disruptive consequences, that your data is either leaked or and that your identity is then used in certain crimes. That's an example, for example, identity theft. So cyber or internet attacks, the 4 we're going to look at here are denial of service, sniffer attacks, cyber terrorism, and spoofing attacks. So let's move on to denial of service, and you can see it's also written like this often: DOS, double DOS attacks, denial of service, distributed denial of service. That's what the double D stands for. So large amounts of useless data are sent to a network or computer. The network or computer becomes very slow, and in many cases the network or computer has to shut down. For example, this is an act by a criminal who floods the bandwidth of a victim's network or fills his mailbox with spam mail. And what happens? It deprives him of the services he's entitled to either access or to provide. So to sum this up, denial of service is when a lot of data is sent to a network or computer. Because it's like a lot of cars on the road, traffic, if there's a lot of traffic on the road, the cars move very slow, and because of this data being sent to this computer or network, the whole network slows down. Okay, it's useless information, or if it's email, if they're sending lots of information to your email, to your mailbox, fill it with spam, then your mail becomes slow. So the purpose of this is they want to shut down this person's computer or network. Because of the high traffic, the network shuts down, and this company cannot provide service to its clients, or this company cannot access the internet because the internet is so slow and the network is so slow. So what's a sniffer attack? A sniffer is a piece of software that grabs all the traffic flow that goes into and out of a computer that's attached to a network. Now, sniffing is a powerful tool in the hands of a hacker. A criminal can use this type of attack to find out what data is sent over the network, and data should be encrypted before being sent over a network, especially if it is confidential. So sniffer attacks is software, number 1, and it grabs the information or the traffic flow of what goes in and what goes out of the company or the computer. But remember, it must be attached to a network. It's a powerful tool that hackers use, and they can find out what kind of data is sent, and also if the data is not encrypted, they can actually read the data and see what you're sending over the network, and it might be confidential information. So what is encryption and how do we encrypt something? Encryption is the best protection against any form of traffic interception. And encrypted data is translated into a secret code before sending the data. So the person who's sending it encrypts it, puts it into this code, and only the person on the other side who receives the data can open the data because there's a secret code attached to it. Okay, so cyber terrorism. This is when parts of a country's IT infrastructure is attacked. So examples could be cyber terrorism if the power grids of a country. So remember, everything works with computers. It might be that the electricity, the power grids are attacked from external, from another country, or people from another country, or the traffic flow is attacked. So the robots and everything that's attached to the internet as well could be attacked. And that is parts of the country's IT infrastructure that is damaged. I see we should have a space there before ETC. Okay, so spoofing attacks. Spoofing attacks works by masking the attacker and making it seem as if he or she is a legitimate user. Remember, a spoof movie is a copy of a movie, so it's not the original movie. So spoofing attacks, once again, is a masking. So you don't know who it is. It looks as if it's a legit person, but it's a spoof. And this is done by using false data to connect to a network. Okay, so let's also mention cyber website cyber attacks. This is when criminals deface a website, usually done by a political or an activist group, a political or activist group, and they usually target companies and government websites. So we're just mentioning this one as well, that if you ever hear about website cyber attacks, you have an idea, defacing a website, and usually activists or political groups. Okay, so common security threats are the following. Here's a whole list of them. There's farming, clickjacking, spoofing, spyware, and under spyware I've added keyloggers because that is a kind of spyware. Computer viruses, which could include things like worms and Trojans. And then there is ransomware, and there is adware, and there are all kinds of scams that we have on the internet that we can look at. So firstly, you need to know what malware is. Malware stands for malicious software. So if you see this, the first part, mal, and ware, which is malicious. Malicious meaning bad. So in our modern society, computers and smartphones are used to do everything. From transferring money, online banking, storing personal information on the cloud. Computer users should therefore understand the basics of malware. You should know what malware is and how to protect yourself against malware. So security issues, the first one, we're going to look, computers in the network are often vulnerable to security problems. So often there are loopholes, there are ways of these hackers to get into systems, or they know how to trick you to divulge information. So some of the malware issues are viruses, spyware, adware, and pop-ups. So malicious software. So virus is a software, spyware, software, adware is software, and pop-ups, which is software. And amongst viruses, I've got Trojans and worms again, and amongst spyware, I've got keylogging. Let's look at a computer virus. What is a computer virus? Firstly, you must know that it's software. It's software, it is malware, so it's malicious software, and it is written to disrupt the normal functioning of a computer. And it usually happens without the knowledge or consent. You wouldn't install a virus on your computer on purpose, so it's without your knowledge or consent that this virus gets onto your computer. So what can this virus also do? It can turn your computer into a bot, in other words, a robot, which can be controlled remotely via the internet, or it can be used to spread malware to your contacts, or you can create loopholes, security loopholes for other programs. So in other words, hackers can get onto your system because of these security loopholes. So what is virus dissemination? Malicious software that attaches itself to other software. So virus dissemination, how are viruses spread? Firstly, you get something like a worm, you get Trojan horses, you get time bombs, you get logic bombs. And we're going to look at what are these malicious software, these different types of viruses. We also get something called bacteria or rabbit programs. It makes copies of themselves to overwhelm the computer system or resources. Okay, bacteria or rabbit programs which make copies of themselves, and then they take up all the space and the resources of a computer. So they're not so well known, but we often hear about viruses, worms, Trojan horses. These two, logic bombs and time bombs, aren't as well known either. So we're going to look at a worm. A worm is a program that copies itself repeatedly in the computer's memory or storage. So this program just multiplies. It becomes more and more and more, and eventually your hard drive is full or your computer's RAM can't function anymore because the memory is full of this program. It can shut down the computer or the network. You're going to have to shut down and restart to clean your RAM, or if your hard drive is full, you're going to have to try and get rid of this worm on your system. So Trojan, it's also a form of malware, software, malicious software. It is a destructive program. It disguises itself as a useful app. So you installing a program, a friend gave you a little game, and attached to it is this Trojan. It's disguised, it's hidden as part of a nice little game, and the minute it's onto your computer, it destructs things. It destroys things, it deletes things, or some of your programs just stop working. It can be used to install malware on a computer. So a Trojan can also be used to install malicious software on a computer. So let's look at a bot. A bot is short for robot, and it is a software application. So once again, it's a program that allows the user to automate tasks and actions. On the internet, they are normally used to analyze and gather file information. An example of this would be web crawlers. So it's a program that automatically does certain tasks on the internet. And sometimes a bot isn't necessarily bad because it analyzes and gathers information like your web crawlers. These bots that gather and analyze and index data can be used by search engines such as Google. Now, while bots can be used to make the user's life easier, they can often come in the form of malware. Okay, so malware bots function by infecting a PC and automatically performing malicious tasks, like gathering your keystrokes. So when you're typing on the keyboard, it picks up which keys you're typing, and of course you don't want that because you might be typing passwords or usernames. It can obtain financial information, it can gather passwords or open backdoors, or infect the computer so that there are open backdoors. So malware bots, malware is software. It does automatic tasks, okay, to analyze, gather information, and the malicious things it could end up doing is gathering your keystrokes, obtaining information from your computer as well. Okay, then zombies. So malware bots also have the capacity to take over a computer or a PC, allowing the hacker to take control. And when this happens, they are known as zombies. So firstly, software has to come onto your computer, bot software, and that bot software is with malicious intent. It's malware bots. And one of the things that could happen is your computer could become a zombie, meaning it's taken over the internet. Somebody at a remote place is taking over your computer and using it for malicious tasks or things that it's not supposed to be used for, for example, criminal activities. So once again, we're going to look at bots and zombies. Okay, so this is when a computer has been taken over by a criminal and is being controlled from a different location. The computer is then used to perform any function of criminal activities that the criminal wants, such as denial of service, we've spoken about that, or sending spam from your computer, or spreading malware around the world. Your computer becomes a zombie in the hands of this person, this criminal, and these are the things they can do. A collection of zombie computers is called a zombie army. So if this person has lots of computers, he's taken control over, he's got a whole zombie army of computers. So spyware is the next one we're going to look at. Spyware is software that tries to monitor and track the way you use your computer. So it's spying on you, spying what websites are you visiting, spying what keystrokes you're pressing. So anything you're doing on your computer is recorded by spyware. It then sends this information to third parties without your consent. So once again, malicious software, it's without your consent, it's software, and it sends information about you to another person. Okay, and it could be because that person wants to know what you're doing or to use personal information for criminal activities. So one of the types of spyware that we get is a keylogger. It is software that records the keystrokes on your keyboard and possibly even the movements of your mouse, and it could also take screenshots of what is being displayed. So these are keyloggers, and it does so in an attempt to find your usernames and passwords. And that is why banks often, instead of letting you type your password on the keyboard, they will give you an on-screen keyboard which is available for you to click on when you have to put in your password to access your bank account. Okay, so how do you protect yourself against these security threats? There are various ways to take precautions against various computer-related crimes, and they include software and general precautions like using antivirus, anti-spyware, or also firewalls. So these are things, generally you shouldn't respond to mails or open up attachments which you don't know. But other things that could help you would be things like antivirus software, anti-spyware, or firewalls, and to make sure that they are updated all the time. Avoiding security threats. Here we've got a long list of things we can do to avoid these security threats. The first one would be to make sure that you've got a secure password. Don't use a password like your pet's name or your date of birth, for example. Pay careful attention to the websites and the links you open. Okay. Do not share your sensitive information unnecessary, like usernames, passwords. If anybody contacts you over the internet or over a phone and they want information, sensitive information like that, even ID numbers, don't share them unnecessary. Be selective about the websites which you choose to share information with, and do not open suspicious emails. Do not download suspicious programs or attachments. So if I can just say suspicious emails, meaning that if you're getting a mail and you don't know who it's from, and especially if there's an attachment, don't open it, ignore it. Do not download suspicious programs or attachments if you do not know who the sender of an email is. Never download the attachment. Even if you know who the sender is, do not open the attachment if you are not expecting them to send you something. Your friend may have been hacked. You've heard about bots. Your friend's computer might have become a bot and is being used to send malicious software to you. Keep your antivirus applications up to date. Remember, viruses are written on a daily basis, and if you don't update every day or as often as possible, your computer will be prone to viruses. Keep your other software up to date. Often software has loopholes or problems that the hackers find out about, and through these loopholes they are able to access your computer. And therefore there are updates that programs share with you so that you can run these updates to make your programs more secure. and then use two-factor authentication whenever possible. It means you need a second factor, not just your username and password, which is usually a physical device such as a phone. And this is what banks often use, is when you log on to your bank account, you'll also get an SMS that you have logged onto the bank account, and often you would then be requested on the phone to say yes, continue, or it is safe. So safeguards against criminals, viruses and threats. There are times that you are not able to avoid security risks that we have just discussed. Fortunately, there is a solution to this problem, and they're not a perfect solution, but these are some solutions, is to make sure that you have a firewall, to make sure that you have software such as antivirus and anti-spyware on your computer. And this will help protect users against threats that you cannot see. So to explain to you now what is a firewall. A firewall is not an antivirus. Okay, there's a difference. A firewall is responsible for monitoring all incoming and outgoing traffic on a network. So if your computer has been taken over as a bot, the firewall is supposed to pick it up. If the firewall detects any traffic that is not within the defined set of security rules, it is blocked. Okay, through this action, the firewall prevents malware from spreading over a computer network. And examples of firewall software include Zone Alarm, Komodo, and Glasswire. And Windows 10 comes equipped with a basic firewall. So I could explain a firewall to you as follows. It's like a door, and the door needs to be opened, and somebody knocks on the door, and then you make a decision whether you want to open the door or whether you want to keep it closed. And the firewall will tell you, something is being installed on your computer. Are you happy with this? Is it you? And you'll say yes, continue. Or the firewall will tell you, are you sure you want to send this information? And you will make the choice and say yes, continue. So that is the purpose of a firewall. It is not an antivirus software. So antivirus program or anti-malware is a program designed to detect, identify, and prevent. So you can see it's supposed to pick up, detect, and identify, and then prevent viruses from getting onto your computer. And then it can also remove the malware from your computer. But it will only detect or identify the malware if it is updated. The program achieves this by running on your computer in the background. So while you're opening an email, the antivirus should automatically scan this email. When you're browsing the net, the antivirus in the background should automatically be scanning this website that you're browsing. And of course, there are some antivirus programs that are known to slow down your computer, but you would rather have the antivirus running than being vulnerable for viruses. This allows the programs to scan the computer as well as an external storage. So if you put a flash stick in, antivirus will scan the flash stick, or if it will at certain times, intervals, you can set it up, scan your hard drive, or any other devices that are connected to your computer for malicious software. Even if you connect your phone to your computer, it can scan your phone to see if there aren't viruses on your phone. Remember, your phone is a computer. It has access to the internet, to the international network of computers. Examples of antivirus programs are Bitdefender, Norton, and WebRoot. And there are many more. There are lots of free ones that are very good that you can also download from the internet. Windows 10 comes equipped with basic antivirus software called Windows Defender. And remember, I've written here, it's important, please, you must update your virus definitions. It's like a database with lists of viruses. They're called definitions. And when these definitions are updated, the antivirus program has the ability to recognize the viruses by certain things like extensions or certain words that are attached to the virus program. So it's called a virus definition, this database that needs to be updated, and it's got to be done on a daily basis preferably. And you update it by going onto the internet, and the antivirus program or the supplier of this program will then update your computer. Anti-spyware. So anti-spyware is a type of computer program designed to prevent or detect and remove spyware programs from your computer. The anti-spyware program does this by monitoring your emails, websites you visit, and files you download. If a malicious program is detected, the anti-spyware will prevent it from being transferred onto your computer. And examples of anti-spyware include Bitdefender, Kaspersky, and AVG. Remember, nowadays anti-spyware, antivirus often comes in one package, and it includes the anti-spyware in the antivirus package. Now it's time for revision. Let's go through a few of these concepts we were looking at, and I'm just quickly going to give you a description and how to protect yourself. So the first one was farming, and farming is a practice where a user is automatically redirected to a fake website, even if you type in the correct URL. And how can you protect yourself against farming? Take note of redirection warnings, check whether the site is secure, and make sure that your anti-software or spyware software is up to date. I see there are quite a few spelling mistakes here. Okay, so that's farming. Clickjacking. Clickjacking is an attack in which a site appears to do one thing, but your clicks are actually redirected to something else. So when you click, your clicks take you somewhere else. It looks as if you're doing something, but you don't realize that you're actually being hijacked. Clickjacking, you are taken to another site. Okay, so precautions here would be add-ons can be installed on the browser. Server programs can be installed to protect users on a network. So these are clickjacking programs that you can install to protect yourself. Spoofing. The spoofing example or description is the changing of an email header so that the email appears to come from a different source. Okay, so it's a spoof. It's not the true one, the actual company, and it looks as if it comes from this company, but it's a changing of the header, and then it actually, when you respond, it goes to the wrong person. Make sure the email comes from a trusted sender. Okay, spyware, any technique or software that tries to monitor and track the way you use your computer. Once it has done this, your information is sent to a third party. So it spies on you. Once it's done it and it's spied, it sends your information to a third party. So how do we protect ourselves? Install anti-spyware. Do not fall victim of any internet hoaxes. Keyloggers. Keyloggers is a type of software. We said it also spies on you, that records your keystrokes as you type in an attempt to discover your personal information. So as you're typing, they try to attempt to discover your information. How do you protect yourself against a keylogger? Make use of a firewall, install password managers, keep your system updated, consider anti-malware software. Computer virus is a program that is written to disrupt the normal functioning of a computer. Most viruses activate when you open or run an infected file. How do you protect yourself? Install antivirus software and keep it updated. Scan email attachments and portable storage devices. Do not open email attachments or run programs from untrusted sources. A computer worm. Once again, it is software, malware, that is able to distribute itself over a network. It is able to reproduce itself. Okay, so it makes lots of copies of itself, usually distributed via email without a person having to run an infected program. Okay, install antivirus software. Do not open unrecognized or suspicious mails. Please, when you get a question about antivirus or keyloggers or any of these, don't say it is something. Always say it is either software or hardware. In this case, it's software. So the first thing you would say is that it's software, it is malicious, so it's got a bad intent, and it's without your consent. Okay, you won't choose to put any of the software on your computer, and then you can explain what it does and even give an example. So Trojan, once again, is a disruptive program, disguises itself as a useful app. So it comes as a little game. It relies on one to activate it before it can operate. So you're installing the game, or you're opening this little program, and then this Trojan gets activated. Do not run any programs unless you are sure it is safe to do so. Ransomware. Ransomware is malware that makes data unavailable until you pay the hacker a ransom. There we see it's also a mistake. Hacker, a ransom fee. Okay, so ransomware, they make your data unavailable. They block it. You can't see it. You can't access it. So until you have paid this person, and then they will make your data available again. If you don't have good backup systems and your backup systems aren't secure as well, then you actually have to pay. If it's confidential information that you really need, then you're going to have to pay a ransom to get your data back. Install antivirus software and keep it updated, and make sure you have good backups of your data all the time. Adware. Adware is also software. Ad stands for advertisement software. Okay, so software that downloads itself to your computer and bombards your computer with adverts that pop up whenever you are connected to the internet. Install anti-malware software and do not click on any unknown links. Okay, that's adware software, and those are the pop-ups that come up all the time while you're on the internet. Scams. A message or article intended to deceive or defraud others. That's a scam. A message or article intended to deceive or defraud others. And check sources for reliability. Do not forward scams to others, and never take any action suggested in a scam message, like sending information or sharing information. Okay, so just to summarize, general precautions, we spoke about these. Have a good password, update your software regularly, install antivirus or anti-spyware software, use encryption when you're sending important information over the internet, scan removable devices like your hard drives and flash sticks, or even your cell phone if you attach it to your computer. Do not open emails or any attachments without scanning them, or do not visit untrusted websites, and do not download or install software from untrustworthy sites, or even if you're getting it from a friend, make sure that it is secure, that there are no Trojans attached to it. We are now moving on to question and answer time. So these will be questions from past papers that we're going to look at. First one, banks offer their online banking clients peace of mind by providing a number of security measures designed to make online banking as safe as possible. Give two of these measures besides the use of encryption. Please note that often in a paper, something will be they will indicate that you may not use the following, and in this case they say encryption. Okay, so there are exclusions that you may not use in your answer. So give two of these measures besides the use of encryption. So I'm going to give you a second. Look at this question. Think of banks, online banking. How do they make sure that you know it's secure, that when you're busy with online banking that you're secure? Okay, so these are some examples. Remember, they said we may not use encryption like HTTPS, okay? Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure. So these are options we can look at. Say log on passwords, they give you have to use a PIN code to get onto the bank. One-time passwords sent to your cell phone via email or each e-banking session. So some banks send you one-time passwords every time you go into the bank. Closing e-banking sessions after a period of inactivity. So if you're on the bank, you're busy, and you forget to log off, after a while, your banking app will close automatically. Notifications sends to a user's cell phone that an e-banking session has started. So you'll get an SMS saying that you have gone onto the bank, so that you're aware that somebody is busy with e-banking. Give 2 reasons why anti-spyware has to be regularly updated by briefly explaining how anti-spyware works. Our clue words here is updated. So you've got to mention why it's been updated, and then you can explain what anti-spyware is and how it works by giving examples as well. Okay, so answer to this is anti-spyware software works by detecting spyware that has installed itself on a computer. So the anti-spyware, in other words, antivirus, it detects the spyware, okay, that has been installed on your computer. And this anti-spyware needs to be updated. So please also note, sometimes they will ask you what is spyware, or they may ask you what is anti-spyware. Remember, the minute spyware is software that detects your actions, but anti-spyware is software that detects spyware that's been installed on your computer. And it's important that you read carefully. Okay, what are they asking? They're asking anti-spyware, why must it be updated? So we're explaining what it is. Then anti-spyware needs to be updated so that newer forms of spyware can be detected. Remember, we said these things are written on a daily basis, so the new ones need to be updated, detected as well. In addition, anti-spyware programs also maintain a database of websites known to spread spyware. So this is the definitions that need to be updated, the database of definitions on your computer, so that it will recognize these spyware software. And the database is updated when the anti-spyware software is updated. Next question. Give 3 typical symptoms of a computer virus. So how would you know you've got a virus on your computer? Typical symptoms. A reduction in free disk space. For example, when you have a worm. Okay, so suddenly your hard drive space just reduces drastically. A sudden unexpected reduction in performance. Your RAM is just running very, very slow or very full. Computer starts running very slow. Reports of antivirus from your antivirus software. So you get a message from your antivirus saying you've got a virus on. Or software that has been uninstalled or changed, or suddenly some software doesn't want to work anymore. Okay, then you know there could have been a malicious code attached to some of the components of that program, and they've now either been deleted or damaged. Okay, give 3 items that ought to be included in an acceptable user policy for the computers at the center, besides any issues related to netiquette. So firstly, netiquette would be good manners. So if we look at an AUP, acceptable user policy, AUP, it's a policy that a computer lab in a school or a business could have on how the people that are in this company, what is allowed and what is not allowed. So they're saying besides the fact that you must have good manners, in other words, don't write in capital letters and shout, the normal netiquette things. What are other things that you can put in this acceptable user policy, okay, that should be included? So here we've got a few examples. Respect the privacy or intellectual property of others. Do not access or store material that may be seen as offensive. Do not tamper with the software settings or the hardware. So if you start tampering with software or installing programs that you're not supposed to install or disabling certain things, your network might become vulnerable. Report any problems you see to a staff member. Do not install or uninstall software, and details on when and where portable storage devices such as flash disk and portable media players may be used. So we're looking at spyware and software malware. So how could a company protect itself, or a school or computer lab? things like not allowing, in the accessible user policy, not allowing people to install or uninstall programs, not allowing people to put in flash. In some schools, they actually disable the flash drives because this is often how viruses are spread. So you will have some rules on how are these portable storage devices being used. For example, they must be scanned before you can use it or open a file. So these are just some things that you could add in acceptable user policy, AUP. Why is it so important to set your privacy settings when using a social networking site such as Facebook? So these are settings that you can put onto your Facebook account, for example, to make sure that whatever you put there is private and not shared with to everybody. Okay, and examples are that to allow you to specify or limit who can view your information. So you don't necessarily want everybody to see what you're putting out there. So you can specify or limit it, and including your photos and posts. And you can also set who can post on your wall. So these are privacy settings. You can restrict it, or you can, when somebody posts on your wall, you can have a setting that you have to accept the post. Okay, so just some settings, privacy settings when you're using social networking sites. Negative implications of 3D printers. This was an interesting question because how do 3D printers actually have social implications or threats for us as users? And this is an example. Dangerous objects can easily be replicated. Copyright issues and distribution of formal manufacturing, a disruption of the formal manufacturing sector, loss of jobs. So the negative implication of a 3D printer could be that it's used to create these dangerous objects or create manufacture items that are false, that are not the original, and that are being shared or sold, and which could actually even lead to job losses. So a summary of what we've looked at: categories of computer crimes in general. We had harassment, cyber attacks, and computers and theft. Under harassment, in our first lesson, we spoke about cyber stalking, we spoke about spam, cyber bullying. These are things that fall under harassment. Cyber attacks, different attacks on systems or networks. Business cyber attacks, there are things like website attacks. There is cyber terrorism, denial of service or distributed denial of service attacks. So these fall under cyber attacks. And then computers and theft. Remember, we also spoke about it in the first lesson, that there are things like bandwidth theft, where you access somebody's internet, you're using the person's data without the person actually sharing his username and password with you. There's identity theft, time and service theft, services, where you're using the company's time to perform personal business online, for example, or even using the company's internet, company's printers, and that's seen as time and service theft. And then data and intellectual property, where you using, or somehow the hackers are getting data from confidential data, like clients' information, cell phone numbers, ID numbers, etc. Or intellectual property, where it's something that you've created and now other people are hacking onto your system or stealing this and sharing it as if they are the creators of this. Okay, social implications. This is the last little bit of technology, the impact of technology on the global community. So the social implications, or how does technology impact on our global community? Technology has had a great influence on how we communicate, how we bank, how we shop, and how we interact with each other. Distance is no longer a hurdle, and we say we're living in this global village. Okay, distance is no hurdle for us anymore. You can sit and have messages, instant messages, chats with people anywhere in the world. You can have meetings all over the world. Technology has improved our lives in many ways. If you think of communication, of emails, of instant messaging, if you think of commerce, how businesses conduct their business online, e-commerce, advertising, websites, if you think of the many online shops, social networking, how you guys use Facebook, WhatsApp, meeting new people, blogs, video logs. If we think of YouTube, it's a video log. Distributing computer powers, how various computers can now work together to perform tasks because we're using the power of different computers. So just to make sure that you understand this one, distributed computer power, one of the most important ways in which technology has impacted our lives through the invention of distributed computing power. Technologies such as cloud computing, okay, so this is something new now. Cloud computing, grid computing, where you're actually using the power or the storage of a computer that's in a remote place, not your own. Your own company's server doesn't have to be that strong anymore. Allowing users to store information on the internet, as well as increasing their computing power by using the network, where one computer can use the computing power and resources of other computers. And this saves users both time and money, as they do not have to invest in expensive processing equipment anymore. Or even maintenance, because you could be storing online, and whoever company supplies the online storage will then make sure that the computer is maintained and backup, etc. And security issues will be covered by them. So summary of grade 12 work, social implications term 2. We looked at the crimes, the thefts, internet fraud, internet attacks, taking over computers, misuse of personal information. We looked at security issues, avoiding security issues, safeguards against criminals, and the impact of technology on the global community. Now I've got a very nice little video here that I would like to share with you next.
Hi, my name's Jenny Martin, and I'm the Director of Cybersecurity Investigations at Symantec. Today, cybercrime causes huge problems for society, personally, financially, and even in matters of national security. Just in the last few years, hundreds of millions of credit card numbers have been stolen. Tens of millions of social security numbers and healthcare records were compromised. Even nuclear centrifuges have been hacked, and unmanned aerial drones have been hijacked. This is all done by exploiting vulnerabilities in hardware and software, or more often by taking advantage of unintentional decisions made by the people using the software. The people committing these cybercrimes don't fit a single profile or motivation. It could be anyone from an international terrorist to a teenager competing for bragging rights. Today, the largest countries not only have a regular army, but also have a well-armed cyber army. In fact, the next world war may not be fought with traditional weapons, but with computers used to shut down national water supplies, energy grids, and transportation systems.
Hi, my name is Parisa, and I'm Google's security princess. I've worked on a lot of different Google products in a lot of different ways to try and make our software as secure as possible. Now let's take a look at how cybercrime works under the hood. We'll learn about software viruses, denial of service attacks, and phishing scams. In biology and life, a virus is an organism that is spread by coughing, sneezing, or physical contact. Viruses work by infecting cells, injecting their genetic material, and using those cells to replicate. They can make people really sick and then spread to other people. A computer virus works a bit similarly. A virus is an executable program that gets installed, usually unintentionally, and harms a user and their computer. It's also possible for a virus to spread itself to other computers. Now, how does a virus get on your computer in the first place? There are a couple ways an attacker can infect someone's computer. They might lure a victim into installing a program with deception about the program's purpose. So, for example, a lot of viruses are disguised as security updates. It's also possible that the software on your computer has a vulnerability, so an attacker can install itself without even needing explicit permission. Once a virus is on your computer, it can steal or delete any of your files, control other programs, or even allow someone else to remotely control your computer. Using computer viruses, hackers can take over millions of computers worldwide, and then use them as a digital army, otherwise known as a botnet, to attack and take down websites. This kind of attack is called a distributed denial of service. A denial of service is when hackers overwhelm a website with too many requests. We call it a distributed denial of service when the attack comes from many computers all at once. Most websites are ready to respond to millions of requests a day, but if you hit them with billions or trillions of requests coming from different places, the computers are overloaded and stop responding.
Another trick used by cybercriminals is to send large amounts of spam email in an attempt to trick people into sharing sensitive personal information. This is called a phishing scam. A phishing scam is when you get what seems like a trustworthy email asking you to log into your account, but clicking the email takes you to a fake website. If you log in anyway, you've been tricked into giving your password away. Hackers can then use your login credentials to access your real accounts, to steal information, or maybe even to steal your money. Fortunately, there are many companies, laws, and government organizations working to make the internet safer. But these efforts are not enough. You may think when a computer system gets hacked, the problem was the security design or the software. 90% of the time a system gets hacked, however, it's not because of a security bug, but because of a simple mistake made by a human.
It turns out there are steps we can all take to protect ourselves. Often, your actions not only impact the security of your own data and computer, but the security of everyone at your school, workplace, and home. With billions or trillions of dollars at stake, cybercriminals get smarter each year, and we all need to keep up.
Okay, that was very nice. Now we at our homework for the day. Open your textbook. Make sure that you go to the section on cybersecurity and read the chapter. Make sure that you reinforce the content that we looked at. Make summaries in your own words, and then remember to work through past papers. Just references again. I've used some of the Gauteng department's PowerPoint presentations. I've got information from Tech Teachers, and then the software is Bandicam. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us for this lesson, and I hope to see you at our next lesson. Goodbye.